What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B, or the 110 Soldier. Today, of course, NBA playoffs. Round 1 is coming to its end here. We'll see how things are going and how my psychic predictions are doing. Kind of give you a synopsis of what's going on so far. Call the 3-1 comeback? Maybe for Houston and LA. One of those probably won't get it done. The other one still has a chance. I'll let you know why it's okay for both. The buck stops here because Damian Lillard, unfortunately, is out with that Achilles. I'll talk about that and should he retire. The secret to Steph Curry's shot and something that everybody, if you want to be like him, you should learn. There's one trick a lot of people don't pay attention to, so maybe one day you could be like Steph. Good luck with that. And Bill Belichick is the old man getting Yoko Ono with his 24-year-old girlfriend. So lots of things to get into, but let's kick it off. Of course, like I said, NBA playoffs are here. Hit that picture for me, Mateo. Playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yep.
Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
I mean, so far so good as I try to test my psychic predictions here. I think overall things have kind of gone the way I thought they would. And in case y'all forgot, I'll go ahead and do this right now. I went about 2 weeks ago and predicted who I thought would win first and second rounds here. So let me give you that and let's see how I did. Because in the end, whether it's Miami or Atlanta, it doesn't matter. Cleveland's going to win easy. They're 34-7 at home, and that's going to be a wash in 4 or 5 games. I don't see how Orlando can keep up. I got, again, Boston winning that one pretty easy. If you're going to pick an upset, I would say go with Detroit. They won 30 more games this year than last year. That's the 6th biggest turnaround in NBA history. They like to run, which again, a top-heavy and injured New York may have a problem with. They're 4th in transition. No, Cade Cunningham really affects them on the pick and roll. If there's one upset I'll go with, I will go with the Knicks in the losing to the Pistons in the Eastern Conference. I think the Clippers are going to beat the Nuggets, which sucks because we could have had MVP versus MVP, and the LA Clippers are possibly the best 5 seed I've seen in a long time. I mean, maybe, the Olajuwon Rockets is a 6 seed. I'm trying to think of a low team that's seeded-wise and just go, Jesus Christ, this team is a real problem. The LA Clippers are a freaking problem. James Harden, I saw it as a Warriors fan in that play-in game, is back to being old James Harden. But shout out to the reason that they are now so dangerous, Kawhi Leonard, the Claw. The Claw! Good God. With a healthy Kawhi, LA Clippers are a whole different story. They're a whole new team. Leonard is averaging 24 points per game. He is shooting 44% from three since February. And since he's come back, they have a top 5 offense and a top 3 defense. That is usually good arithmetic for making a championship roster. They have won 15 of their last 17 games, and their only 2 losses have been to Oklahoma City and Cleveland, 2 of the best teams in the entire NBA by a combined 7 points. So it is an interesting situation for them, and I got the Clippers pulling it off because I just don't think the Nuggets have enough other than Jokic, the best player in basketball, and I never thought I'd say it, to get it done. So most of it was right, not quite psychic all the way,
You're psychic. You can predict the future.
Hey, look, I'll talk about the Clippers here in a little bit, but like I said, Eastern Conference to me is going to be chalk. It's going to be a walk. Boston versus Cleveland is going to happen, barring some sort of injury or something. Indiana did, eliminate the helpless Bucks last night. Again, I'll talk more about Damian Lillard later, but they're just cannon fodder for Cleveland. The Cleveland Cavaliers are still not getting their love. Cleveland Cavaliers are, in my opinion, still maybe the best team in basketball, along with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I put them above Boston right now. They are going to kick Indiana's ass from here to kingdom come. We'll see what Halliburton's dad has to say about that. Cleveland is number 1 in the playoffs in points per game at 126 points per game. They're number 1 in point differential at plus 30.5. They won their first 4 games against the Miami team that doesn't completely suck by 30.5 points, and they are number 2 on defense in points allowed at 95.5. So that's going to be easy. Again, on the other side, Boston's going to win, and yes, I did say if I was going to pick an upset, I would go with the Knicks Pistons. You at least got to give me credit that that's been the closest because I really didn't want to pick anything but chalk in the Eastern Conference. They will most likely, though, sneak by this young Detroit Pistons, who did hold on for at least one more day. Congratulations last night. They're going to win, and barely. I still give Detroit a puncher's chance because the last 3 games have been decided by only 6 points. So, I mean, it's not like this has just been ass-kickings. Detroit has blown leads. There's been a lot of controversial calls and everything else. They're a little young and inexperienced, but that is a talented team. Keep an eye out on Detroit in the future. But no matter who wins, they're going to lose to Boston. Let's say the Knicks do win. They're too top-heavy. They play too many minutes with their starters, and now they're all injured again. Typical Tom Thibodeau-like, style New York Knicks here. You got Brunson returning his ankle last night. You got Josh Hart also going out as well. They have 5 starters on the Knicks that average 39 minutes per game, and only 4 bench players they play at all, and they only average 10 minutes per game. Boston's not only got a number one defense in the playoffs with 94.8 allowed, they have a full 7-man rotation where they all play at least 27 minutes. They are, of course, led by Jason Tatum, who does seem like he wants to make a point this year that last year wasn't a fluke with his 30 points, 12.3 rebounds, 3.7 assists so far. Derek White, shout out to him. Everyone, of course, knows Brown, but I think Derek White has now become the third kind of horseman there, and man, they are just kicking absolute ass. So again, it's Boston and Cleveland. That's not even a contest. On the other side, the only shock I had was in Los Angeles versus Minnesota, how Minnesota's actually got them down 3-1, and I'll get to that. And I will not quite let go yet of my prediction that I think the Clippers could go ahead and pull this off. I am not counting out the Clippers, even though they just lost last night. That is now their only first back-to-back losses in 57 days. The last time they lost 2 in a row was March 4th, and Jamal Murray, shout out to him, man, went insane in that home game there. 43 points on 17 to 26 shooting, 8 of 14 from threes. It was his best scoring game since the pandemic, to give you an idea of just kind of how, Murray's a great player, but that was definitely a high-level performance by him. It is now the second game in a row they had an over 20-point lead going into the fourth quarter and almost blew it, because when the Clippers get rolling, man, they can really get rolling. And Denver, just like New York, is top-heavy. Murray and Jokic both average 42.3 minutes per game, and they only have 2 bench players so far averaging even 10 minutes per game, whether that's Westbrook or Watson. And Jokic's conditioning is a problem. I will get more into that along with Luka Jokic. Both of them are struggling with these extended minutes and being able to try to make a final push in the fourth quarter, and I do think it'll bite him in the ass eventually, even if they get past the Clippers, who, again, I still say could win these last 2 games. But just to give you a quick idea, they come out of bat out of hell, especially Jokic. I mean, this dude in the first quarter has had 32 points and 20 assists in this series, but in the fourth quarter has only had 21 points and 10 assists because he's running out of gas because he's too fat. And I will get to that here in just a little bit. But let me start off with the first one here that I want to discuss. 2 teams in general because their lives are on the line. Hit the picture here for me. Mateo. The 3-1 comeback.
Don't call it a comeback.
Yeah, I actually had that CD. Don't call it a comeback, because can the Houston Rockets or LA Lakers be only the 14th team ever in NBA history to come back from a 3-1 deficit and be the first ones to do it in 5 years? Only 5% ever come back from the dreaded 3-1. And like I said, LA shocked me. Golden State, I'm a fan, but I really thought the Rockets were young and inexperienced, and I really didn't think they were there. But the Los Angeles Lakers really did shock me. I'm not going to lie. I really thought this was at least going to be a more even series going forward. And honestly, it has been an even series. It's just been at the end, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves' size and defense has just been able to overwhelm them. And there's been a couple, close calls here or there. Luka did get fouled at half court. The NBA did come back and say sorry, which I don't even understand why they do that, how these referees come back either an hour or a day later. Why even admit it, I guess, if you just get to go, yeah, we missed the call. Okay. You gonna do anything about it? No. We effed up. Oh, okay, cool. But, I mean, going back to the Lakers' actual problems, can they do this? Can they be 5%? Can they be the 14th team ever? They got 2 problems, really. They got 2 major ones. And one of the first ones is that Luka runs out of gas because he's out of shape, which I've been screaming for a while. And size matters. It's not just your girl telling you that. Size matters, and Luka is running out of gas. You see it with the way that J.J. Redick is coaching. He is not, connecting with the bench. Pun intended. I mean, I don't know why he's not playing Dalton Connect at all, but I mean, to only play your starters the entire second half of that last game, where that was an all-time record, was an interesting strategy. I'm all for it, at least for your top guys in a must-win elimination game. I have lost my mind watching coaches going all the way back to Jerry Sloan in 1996, Utah versus Chicago NBA Finals, and he was sitting John Stockton for extended minutes in elimination games in the NBA Finals. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you waiting? What are you resting him for? Like, what's next? You don't win tonight, it's over. I think he knew that 3-1 was a bad deficit, and so he decided to keep his starters out there. I'm really not that mad at it because a lot of starters do things like that in the playoffs, but that is really more of a lack of faith in his bench and not being able to get that big that they needed, that lob threat, that, rim down, presence down low to help a Luka out, who definitely had that in Dallas with like a Lively and Gafford. Jackson Hayes has just not been up to snuff, 1.8 points per game, and has only played like 8 minutes per game. It's interesting that LeBron, of all people, a 40-year-old LeBron James and not a center, is by far number one on the Lakers in rebounds and in blocks, averaging 9.5 rebounds, 2.3 blocks. And yeah, man, it's just the truth, dude. Size matters. I don't know what to tell you. And when that size is also out-shooting you the way Minnesota is out-shooting the Los Angeles Lakers from three, that is an absolute problem, dude. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, McDaniels, and Reed are all shooting at least 42% from three-point line. They're able to put out goofy rotations in just these huge lineups where it's like Gobert, Randle, McDaniels, Ant, and Reed, or, some kind of combination, maybe a DiVincenzo or a Conley thrown in. But they're big, they're tough, they're young, they're strong defensively. Not to mention Anthony Edwards is really committed on the defensive end and is able to work within the system more than a Luka ball-dominant, LeBron ball-dominant offense is. His, again, defense has been phenomenal along with their size. Their 43% three-point shooting. Anthony's been clutch at the end of these games, being able to help close out where he's had 12 points in the last two games in the, quote-unquote clutch minutes there. So there's just a lot of issues that all come around here. I still say, though, stars can win. Stars can put on runs in the NBA and, more specifically the playoffs here. So do I think that a LeBron and Luka, if they're both hot and if they're both rolling and if they're both able to contribute along with any level of help from the bench, whether it's Rui, and no one's giving AR his respect. He has really been phenomenal. But they need a couple more guys to just step up. But, honestly, LeBron and Luka could will you easily to a 3-game win streak when 2 of those are at least at home, although home court advantage is not what I thought it was. That was another shocking little fun fact here. Did you know of the 13 teams that have come back and done the 3-1 comeback, only 5 of them were ones with home court advantages? That actually kind of shocked me a little bit. But, yeah, so, looking at it overall here, they're bigger than you, they're younger than you, they're deeper than you, they got more size than you and everything else. So there's a lot of problems to go around and to blame. But I will go back to Luka, who, has had a rough year this year, being traded for no reason. Well, the reason I'll explain, and then kind of have an up and down. And first, people are saying, oh, the LA is going to be a title contender. Next thing you know, they're down 3-1. And both him and Jokic, I'm going to continue to say it. I'll say it now. I'll say it again. I'll say it tomorrow until they do something about it. Hit the video here for me. Mateo, Luka and Jokic are fat for the NBA. Neither has been conditioned well enough this season to handle the extra minutes that they're both being required to do, and it is causing problems. And it's not a secret. This is why I get so annoyed when people get upset that I say that they're both out of shape. Luka was literally traded for it out of Dallas. Now, it was a bad trade, and they made a horrible decision on what to get back, but that was the main reason they got rid of him, because his lack of conditioning and lack of defense. And Jokic will flat-ass tell you, dude, I don't give shit off-season. I don't do nothing. I drink beer. I eat pizza. Like, neither one of these guys has ever said, dude, I am the most well-conditioned athlete in the NBA, and you are starting to see it in these fourth quarters. That's where you're seeing these extended minutes, and they're running out of gas. And like I said, they start off a bat out of hell. There's absolute bat out of hell. Luka in the first quarter has had 3 first quarters in just this series where he has a 16-point, and a 13-point first quarter, and has had no more than 7 in any of these fourth quarters when they really needed him, and no more than 2 field goals made in any fourth quarters. Nikola Jokic, his last 5 fourth quarters has only shot 39% and also has not made more than 2 field goals in any of those 5 fourth quarters. Luka is only shooting 29% in the fourth quarters, even worse than Jokic's 39, and has had 2 total points in the last 5 minutes of the last 2 games in the clutch time there when, they've really needed Luka magic. And while it's a lot to ask them to say, hey, play 42 minutes per game, they're far from the only ones. They're far from the only stars who are asked to take, more of a load on as far as in the playoffs here, whether it's a Van Fleet, OG Anunoby, Jamal Murray, Cade Cunningham, LeBron James, Anthony Edwards. Hell, Steph Curry is averaging 39 minutes per game. They're not the only ones being asked to average at least 40 minutes per game. The problem is they're out of shape, they're too fat, they don't take the offseason seriously enough, and as good as they are, as great as they are, as MVP candidates as they are, God, it frustrates me to no end to watch them just kind of huff and puff through these fourth quarters and have these just, kind of piss poor finishes because they just don't have what it takes to get it done. I cannot imagine how good both of those guys would be. Could you imagine how good both those guys could be if they took their offseason training seriously the way, a Steph Curry or a LeBron did? It would be absolutely phenomenal. Unfortunately, that they don't. I would lock their ass in. If I had just freedom to the purge one year, I would lock those two in a room for a summer and just make them diet and exercise because I would love to see what they could do, most importantly, come playoff time if they actually had their fat asses conditioned. Unfortunately, they don't, and they continue to struggle in the fourth quarter, and that is going to be the Lakers if they continue to lose and, kind of get upset here. It really is an upset, 3-6. It's going to be because Luka is not able to give you Luka magic at the end because he's too fat, he's too out of shape. Same thing with Jokic. If they lose to the Clippers or whenever they do lose, I don't think they're winning an NBA championship. Is the exact same problem. Both these guys, I just wish 1 year, just for fun, just to try it. Get your fat asses in shape. Again, I'm fat for the world. I'm fat for the NBA. They're not, it's just not in good condition. I'm trying to, elaborate and be too nice about it. I'm trying to be too woke about it. They're out of shape for the NBA, and the fourth quarter stats show it. They both come out bats out of hell in the first quarter, and by the fourth quarter, completely suck. And are not, at least for them, they suck. And there's no surprise why. On another note, speaking of the 3-1 comeback, a lot of people brought this up to me.
Don't call it a comeback.
Oh, you want to go here? You want to go here? Can LeBron do it again? Can LeBron lead another 3-1 comeback the way that he did that magical year in 2016 when he beat my 73-9 Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals, the only one to ever do it? And, everyone talked about, it was all LeBron. It was the greatest thing. It made him the GOAT. LeBron even said as much because he came back from the 73-9 Warriors in the NBA Finals down 3-1. The only guy to ever do it. Oh. You want to talk about it? Do y'all really want to talk about it? Because we can. And how it actually would compare to if the Lakers could do it this year, how those similarities would need to repeat. That was one of not just the biggest flukes, but a kind of, good explanation of why it's only a 5% time this actually ever happens. There was 3 major reasons that a lot of people just either forget or don't want to talk about when we talk about why the first time LeBron came back 3-1 in the series versus the Warriors in 2016. Now you can hit this video here for me, Mateo. The 3 main reasons. The first one was that Draymond got suspended in Game 5. If y'all remember that, he couldn't stop hitting people in the dick, whether it was, punching them or kicking them. And that Game 5 that he missed was only 6 points at the start of the fourth quarter, and then they ran out of gas and they lost their momentum, and it got swung back the other direction. The other problem there was that Harrison Barnes completely forgot how to shoot the ball. The last 3 games, Harrison Barnes was 5 of 32, 16%, and most of those shots were wide-ass open, which allowed them to roam and double-team Steph and Clay, and they weren't able to get their shots off. And the biggest reason that nobody brings up enough that annoys the piss out of me, Kyrie Irving was an absolute nightmare. I still dream about how tough Kyrie was. That pivotal Game 5, Kyrie Irving, who no one gives credit for, was 17 of 24 with 41 points that game, was 5 of 7 from threes. And yes, LeBron was great the entire NBA Finals, 29.7, 11 and 9, but Kyrie also averaged 27 points those games, and everybody only wants to bring up the block for Game 7. Oh, the block, the block, the block. The block was with a minute 50 left in regulation. LeBron missed his last 4 shots. So yes, the block was great, but there was still 2 minutes left in the game, and he couldn't make a shot. It wasn't until Kyrie hit that damn dagger on Steph Curry, tied 89-89 with 53 seconds left, that they were able to finish their 3-1 comeback and be able to finish making history. And then everybody got to put LeBron on pedestal and go, oh, LeBron did it by himself, and it just pissed me off to no end because I'm like, dude, Kyrie had something to do with that. His 41 points Game 5, his unbelievable play. his 27 over the finals, but everybody just wants to go LeBron, block. I remember the games. I remember a minute 50 left. I remember LeBron not being able to make a shot. I remember Kyrie sticking that on the road on Steph Curry. It was absolutely a nightmare. So if the LA Lakers want to try to repeat the 3-1 comeback with LeBron the way that he did it back then, as I've kind of pointed out, there's going to have to be some things kind of going their way. There's going to have to be some kind of flukes. But Luka's going to have to be that kind of Kyrie of LeBron has always liked having either a Wade or a Kyrie or somebody else to kind of help him close the fourth quarters. That is what they brought Luka in for the first place. And if he can actually, get enough rest or be energized enough to do it, he should be able to help them actually pull this off. And if not, man, it's going to become a longer and longer conversation with this whole LeBron James, Michael Jordan shit, and I'm trying not to go there because I got too many other things I need to get into. But good God, y'all continue that. And man, 7 years, now 8 years, only one title, and it's a damn bubble title, is problematic when you consider he is still at least showing that he has a high level of play, and maybe there's bigger problems than just, not having the greatest teammates, which doesn't make sense because he's now got Luka freaking Doncic, and he's had all-stars before. All right, going to the other side, I want to talk about the Houston Rockets. Hit this for me, Mateo.
Rockets! It's always about the Rockets! It's always about the Rockets.
I'll be nice here, and I'll say this. You guys just aren't ready yet. I don't see you coming back against the Golden State Warriors, and it's okay. It's just not your time. As you see the picture here, the old gunslinger still got a couple years left in him, man. This is so like The Quick and the Dead. Have y'all seen The Quick and the Dead? You remember Leo was the son, and Gene Hackman was the mean old man, and he was the big badass gunslinger, and the young kid was just talking shit and being like, Dad, I'm going to get you, and this gunfight, and yada, yada, yada. And he kept trying to tell him, like, dude, you're great. It's just not your time. You're young. You're inexperienced. Don't challenge me. And instead of listening, he tried to just bah, and all he did was piss him off. Then he ended up shot and dead in the street. This is so similar to just a narrative of what the Houston Rockets, Golden State Warriors, of like, man, the old gunslingers, you don't need to piss them off. You don't need to go there. And yet you got Tariq Eason talking shit. You got Dylan Brooks going out there pissing off Steph Curry. And then he went on to piss off and injure Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy even said afterwards, dude, that was kind of the main motivation I had that second half when he went off and did his thing. So it's not that the Rockets are even a bad team. As much as I don't like what y'all did, I have to give it some respect because even though I did say, and I still believe it, you're one of the most talentless 2 seeds I've ever seen in my life, you did what you had to do so far to make this competitive and to make this a series. The Houston Rockets are young, they are talented, and they are mean, and that bully ball bullshit, as much as I don't like it, where they're trying to distract and hit and hold and push and set a different physical tone, where referees are scared to make foul calls because, God, we're going to have to foul out the entire team in the first quarter the way they're going. It's getting them pissed off. It's getting the Warriors distracted. They're getting back into back and forths, and it really was able to, give them a lot of problems. Steph Curry, as good as he's been, the fact he's averaging 29 is a miracle because the defense they're playing and his physicals they're playing has been absolutely well done. But it is only going to take you so far. So that's why I try to keep telling you it's not your time yet, kids, because even if you did get the 3-1 comeback, I got bad news for you. You're not winning an NBA championship. You don't have enough offense. You're just not there yet. But you're young. That's the great news. You got an average age on the Houston Rockets of 24.8 years old, and your core is young as all get out. Reed is only 20. Smith Jr. is 21. Green, Amen, Şengün, 22. You do have a tough, hard-nosed, well-coached core there that really can get after people. I mean, it has been close in all these 4 games, and y'all have dominated a lot of the things that usually win basketball games in the playoffs. The Houston Rockets, just FYI, are plus 52 points in the paint so far this series, plus 42 in rebounds this series. I'll repeat that one more time. Houston Rockets in this series, in these 4 games, are plus 52 points in the paint and plus 42 rebounds. That usually translates to you're going to win these damn games because you win the battle on the boards, you win the battle in the paint, and it just becomes a hard thing to do. The problem is you are so inept on offense. I don't even really see a system you guys have going, and you need scoring so badly. This is why this is just a good year to get your experience and make your run and get some, overall knowledge and wisdom for next year, but you guys need a scorer in the worst way possible. The Houston Rockets only average so far 98 points per game. That is the 3rd worst in the entire playoffs, and the only only two teams you score more points than so far are the now vanquished Miami Heat and Orlando Magic. You are also top 5 according to all the NBA rankings in trade assets. I implore you, try not to hurt anybody left on Golden State. Just take your lumps, take your knowledge, take your wisdom, take your experience, pack it up and go home for next year, because you'll be much better next year once you use some of those assets and get yourself a legit veteran scorer. Van Fleet was absolutely phenomenal that last game, but that is not somebody you can rely on. I'm talking a scorer. I'm talking Kevin Durant, who's going to be, we'll see what happens in Phoenix, or even a Booker. Giannis now with the Milwaukee Bucks. That'll be an interesting thing to monitor there as far as trades go. Ja Morant, hey, y'all like assholes, man. He fits right in, and he's a hell of a scorer. Point being, you got to get one of those guys. You need somebody that you can give the ball to, because closing out these games, it has been a difficult situation because Green is young and just inconsistent, and he's wild. He hasn't learned how to hone in his game as far as be able to just minimize your movements and be efficient in the way the great scorers do. He hasn't figured that out yet. A lot of young guys struggle with that. And Şengün is great, but you can't have him as your franchise guy. As far as for an offensive, last 2 minutes, give him the ball, go get us our points. We'll take care of everything else that we do very well, which is defense and rebounding. You don't have it yet. Go get a KD, go get a Booker, go get a Giannis, go get a Ja, go get something in that realm as the trade rumors come out. But I don't see y'all coming back, unfortunately, this year with the Golden State Warriors. It's still a series as far as like you got 2 games at home and we'll see. I don't think it, and the good and bad news is that is even if you were to win, you wouldn't win an NBA championship. You're too offensively inept. You need more scoring. Better luck next year. I do want to move on, though, to the other side of the coin there with my man Steph Curry. Get to the video here in just a second. Steph Curry, I'm telling you what, man, time's almost up. As I had him as an old gunslinger there. Let's just enjoy this dude while we can. It is amazing to still watch this guy perform at the level. Everyone talks about LeBron at this level, Steph Curry's something else.
Steph Curry. So hot right now.
And, man, I'm going to miss this dude. It continues to be a privilege, man. You only have probably a year or 2 left in your, career. The contract runs up for Steph through 2027, and that does seem to be a good timeline of when we'll probably say goodbye to Steph Curry. And he is still must watch. This whole series, watching him fight again through all the bullshit, the holding, the nonsense, and hit some of the shots that he has hit. He has really been even better than he's ever been before as far as just making tough shots and timely moments and just being an absolute warrior and closer, pun intended, along with Jimmy Butler that last game. He has just made some shots that have been just unbelievable there. And, the good news for the NBA is that you do still have a couple years with him and LeBron. The ratings have shown it. The eyeballs, of course, have still been, as I've told you 1,000 times, and I'll tell you 1,000 times more, LeBron and Steph are still the ones that move the needle when it comes to NBA, getting ratings, getting money, and making sure they're all doing their thing.
And I'm tired of being right.
And I'm right again. They're up anywhere from 15 to 30%, depending on which game you go by. But as far as, if you ever get a chance yourself, because I've actually got to do this, I got 2 things I want to talk about with Steph Curry. Watching him shoot a basketball is the first thing I would say. So what I'm trying to tell you is that with Steph Curry only having 2 years left, if you ever get a chance to go watch him live, I implore you to do something. As now you can hit the video here for me, Mateo. Get there early and watch him warm up. I cannot explain, other than you have to kind of see it to believe it sometimes, how amazing he is at shooting a basketball. When you get to watch somebody do something where they're literally the best to ever do it, it's just different, man. So watching Steph warm up pregame, as you can see, he's just a machine. It is ridiculously hard to understand how difficult that is. Dude, that is like watching, I've said it before, Mozart playing piano, Hendrix playing guitar. Imagine if you could watch Aretha Franklin, warm up before a big concert singing, Einstein doing math, Shakespeare writing a play, hell, Andre the Giant drinking beer, anybody want a peanut? Watching Steph Curry, he is the best to ever do it, and even as somebody who used to shoot a basketball, I just watch him in awe. I implore you to go watch this dude sometimes. Just shoot around. It is a level of just expertise that is almost hard to fathom, and this is why, also pay attention if you are a shooter. People say he's quote-unquote Steffortless. You can see it really in the warm-ups of exactly how in control of that shot and that form, but most importantly, that there's no wasted motion. That's a big thing with shooting, and being able to just capture what I call the kinetic energy from the toes to your wrist. If you have no impeding moments or any sort of thing that stops the flow, it's amazing how, yes, Steph can shoot from 50 feet because he's channeling and he's capturing all that kinetic energy as he shoots the ball, and that's why it looks so effortless. It's like a perfect, golf or baseball swing or a perfect throw. If you do everything right and you capture that energy, dude, it is amazing how much stronger your body is than you think it is. It's hard for the rest of us because at some point, as that energy's coming up, we lose it. Steph Curry doesn't lose it. Somehow he has just a perfect, flowing, rhythmic, authentic shot that is hard to understand unless you sit there and watch him shoot like 100 in a row with your jaw dropped and go, Jesus Christ, this dude is something like I've never seen. So if you ever get a chance, only about probably a couple years left there, go watch Steph Curry warm up. If you get a Warriors ticket, go pregame and watch that. That'll actually be better than the game if you ever shot a basketball or know anything about it, just how damn difficult that is. The other thing that we should talk about with Steph Curry, because a lot of people are focusing on some of the miracle shots he's made, and he's made some great ones.
Steph Curry. So hot right now.
There's a secret if you're a shooter you should all pay attention to. Somebody used to play. I saw somebody else highlight this video. Then I saw another one, and I was pointing it out to my girl and a few other people of like, there's a little thing that a lot of people don't catch that I caught that is the most important secret as far as if you're trying to ever be on the level of Steph Curry. So if you can hit this next video here for me, Mateo, you got to learn how to seam it. Seam the ball. What do I mean by that? We'll look at two shots over Jalen Green, this first one being this miracle fadeaway he hit in Game 1, and everyone had a lot to say. Watch his hands. Do you see what he just did? That's called seaming the ball. He did that in milliseconds. I cannot explain how hard that is or how much practice that takes to have the muscle memory when you're dribbling with 1 second left on a shot clock in the playoff and you're fading out of bounds. But watch his hands as he takes it and is able to find the seams and make sure that his hands are perfectly lined up with the ball and placed exactly where they need to be. To do that in milliseconds is insane. Here he does again against Jalen on the face-up, another huge shot. That little thing doesn't seem like much. That's huge. I don't know what to tell you if you don't know why that's so important. It's a reference point when you do that to align your fingers and your wrist and be able to ensure more accuracy and consistent rotation and get that same backspin. If you notice, Steph Curry never has not that perfect backspin on the ball because he always is able to, and he's able to do it so quickly with such a quick muscle memory that it's really like you have to really pay attention to see it. But that's how he's able to get that perfect rotation. That's how he's able to get, even this shot, perfect form while he's fading out of bounds with Jalen Green in his face. That little 0.1 second, whatever it is, that little time to spin the ball and make sure that it's perfectly aligned in his hands and have the muscle memory and the practice to do it is something that is legendary to really only, I've seen him do it. I mean, almost everybody else. Van Fleet, who had a great game in Game 4 when he missed that final shot, if you notice, that was a knuckleball. He didn't take the time to spin the ball and get it seamed up to where he needs it to be. That is one of the biggest keys to shooting. I don't know how he's able to do it so quickly. It is something you'll see guys do if they have the time to do it. Somehow Steph is able to do it in just, literally just a snap, like literally in just a 0.001 second flat. It is phenomenal to watch, and that is one of the biggest secrets. If you ever want to learn to shoot like a Steph, be able to practice to where no matter what you're doing, how you're dribbling, whatever is going on, that you're able to seam the ball and get it up and lined up in your hands and wrists exactly where you need it. He's a machine. I don't know what to tell you. Steph Curry is a goddamn machine. Moving on. God, this one sucked. This one broke my heart. Down goes Damian Lillard. Hit the picture here for me, Mateo. God dang it. I like me some Damian Lillard. I really wanted him to go to Miami in the first place, but of course he went to Milwaukee, and now we found out that he has torn his Achilles. Dude, this sucks. He's out for a while. Maybe the rest of his life as far as his career goes, and I'll just tell you right now, I'm kind of thinking he needs to retire. But let's get into it. So down goes Dame time. The Bucks run is over, by the way. Milwaukee, it's time to rebuild. But Damian Lillard just tore his left Achilles in the first quarter of Game 4 this Sunday. That's, of course, going to sideline him for these playoffs and most likely all of next year as he needs surgery to repair it. He had returned already in kind of heroic fashion. Shouldn't even really been out there at that point. He had deep vein thrombosis in his right leg. He had a blood clot. I mean, he really wasn't even supposed to come out there, and he still tried his best, and then he tore his Achilles for it.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
It reminds me of Clerks. The poor bastard just can't catch a break. And it is sad because he most likely tore his Achilles because of that rushing back. Because when you're on blood thinners, apparently you're allowed no workout, no contact, and he had to do all that in order to, even have the ability to make that rush back that he did, which really wasn't record time. But, I mean, if you haven't, going 0 to 1,000, like, go out and play at LA Fitness. Going 0 to 100 is hard enough. Going 0 to 1,000 the way Damian Lillard tried to do for this Milwaukee Bucks team probably is what tore his Achilles, probably what keeps him out for at least a year, and might be the end of his career. Now, like I'm saying, doctors have said return to play is anywhere from 6 months to a year. NBA players on average can do 10 months, whether that's Kobe, Clay, Kevin Durant. We've had some recent examples. I still don't think, don't do it, man. First of all, you are under contract until 2027 when you have a player option, so you'll get paid for next year. Just take your time and be healthy. We already see what happens when a 34-year-old Damian Lillard tries to push himself too hard too soon, and he just doesn't need to do it. And just in general, the Bucks just need to let it go. They need to move on. They need to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo. They need to rebuild and get draft picks. They really pushed for their championship window, and I'll give them credit for doing that. But that window is done. You got eliminated last night. Your season is over. His career in Milwaukee is over, and I don't know if his career in the NBA is over, but I do know the Bucks need to go ahead and rebuild this empty cupboard of just no draft picks, no young talent. Trade Giannis, let him go somewhere else, restock everything, and start from the beginning. But going back to Damian, should he let it go? I think so. Hit the video here for me, Mateo. At 34 years old, I'm saying why not? I'm saying why not? Damian Lillard, you've had a great career, and at 34 years old with a torn Achilles and everything else, I think it's okay to go ahead and say, you know what, I've had a good career, I'm going to pack it in. And I hope he doesn't regret trying to rush back and get his, that's what kind of led to the injury there. Because in general, I've learned this in life, to anybody listening, that looking back with regret is just not useful, because what I've noticed is that what most people do is they'll look back and they'll replay situations and they'll always look at it like it could have been better. In Damian Lillard's case, it could have gone a lot worse. He came back very early from a deep vein thrombosis and blood clots. He came back really fast, and we don't know what could have happened. So I hope he doesn't regret anything, because, thinking about it, he could have had a lot worse. Everyone looks at better. It could have been a lot worse. He took care of his money, which is good to hear. Damian Lillard is got a net worth apparently of $65 million. He's owed $54 million next season as he recovers. He already said he has generational wealth. He has made significant financial gains. He's been able to provide for his family. Matter of fact, he said he's been able to use his wealth that he's acquired to help his mother quit her job. He's also been able to help other family and friends. So the money is there. He is taking care of it. And also, you got nothing to prove, man. Nobody doubts you. I mean, you're not going to be the first legend to maybe go without a title. We know what time it is. We know it's Dame time, dude. We're talking about Damian freaking Lillard. Some of y'all, if you've got that short of memory, let me remind you, Damian Lillard, NBA Rookie of the Year in 2013, 9-time NBA All-Star, 2-time three-point champion, a top 75 player all time, was on the 75th anniversary team, the all-time leading scorer for the Portland Trailblazers, a member of the 20,000 point club. This dude scored 71 points in a game like 2 years ago. He's an Olympic gold medalist, and he's freaking Dame time. Damian Lillard is one of the toughest dudes to ever play in the NBA. One-on-one, range, trickiness, savvy, veteran, class, leadership, dog, and absolute clutch, dude. Nobody got it down in the clutch situations quite like Dame time when he was in his prime, man. That dude was an absolute killer. Playoff game, buzzer beater. So many iconic moments where he's staring at the camera and doing all the, waving goodbye and all that. Damian Lillard, when I look at your career, even though you didn't win the title, you're top 75 all time, you've held on to your money, and you've got every reason to go ahead and say it's about Dame time. I call it at 34 years old. Milwaukee Bucks are clearly going nowhere. You got no, I guess if you want to do it. I would love to see you try to, buck the odds and try to do what you can. But Klay Thompson's never been the same. Kobe was never the same. KD, is 7 feet tall, so that helps him. In general, I just want to see a classy dude who's always been a great teammate and a great representative of the NBA go out the way he, wants to go out. So if he wants to come back, I got nothing against it, but I will say, looking at everything together, it's probably time to go ahead and say it's Dame time to go home. Dame time to go home. Too bad, because I love watching this guy. Look at these shots. That was to eliminate the Thunder over Paul George. That's nuts. Dude's an animal. Dude was an absolute just animal in the clutch. Damian Lillard just gave me freaking nightmares. So good luck, speedy recovery, and whatever you do going forward, you're a classy guy, and I've always been a fan. Last thing. Got to talk about this. Oh, I got to talk about this. Let me hit some more sad music. Oh, Bill Belichick. Hit this picture here for me. Mateo. Bill Belichick and a 24-year-old Jordan Hudson. As I said in the title here, I'm going to call this Yoko Ono. Oh, no. If you catch my drift. A 73-year-old, Bill Belichick is getting Yoko Ono'd by a 24-year-old, and it's been absolutely hysterical to watch. Bill Belichick, one of the most mercurial, quiet guys, has suddenly been thrust into the limelight because, dude, talk about, everyone's picking on poor Shannon Sharp, and, we'll find out whether he's guilty or innocent, but even the age difference and him talking all that shit.
He's talking about date your age. I want to date my wage. So come with it.
Why aren't we giving some love to old Billy Boy? Yes, there's been no assault charges, but Jesus Christ, he is 73 years old, and she is 24 years old. That is a 49-year difference. How big of a difference is that? I'm glad you asked. Bill Belichick, just to put this in perspective, is 12 years older than her mother. Like, he's not just 49 years older than his girlfriend, he's 12 years older than her mom. So picture a moment in time at some point, like think of a 20-year-old maybe, looking at an 8-year-old and you're like, hey, man, you want to dial it down a notch? And they're like, no, I'm not actually thinking about it. I'm thinking about maybe the next one, the daughter. That'll be the one that, I'm on to Cincinnati. Catch my drift. You just be like, oh boy. 49-year age difference, and dude, this does remind me a lot of Yoko Ono, even though it's not the age difference, but it's a very similar tale of like, man, she is seeming to get her just paws and grips on him in a way that I've never seen Bill Belichick, a guy who's been known to be very defiant, a control freak. No one can tell him what to do. He left New England because of those reasons, and to see just the power of the P, man. Power of that pussycat's got Bill all riled up. And in these pictures, most of the time I'm like, Bill, blink twice if you need help. He seems to be happy there, though. And again, I look at the story and I go, man, this is Yoko-ish. This is Yoko. Hit the picture here for me, Corey. Oh, no. I remember this. I was watching this doc a few years ago, the Beatles Get Back doc. I fully recommend it, and I'll explain because this is kind of an analogy to what's going on with Belichick and his 24-year-old Jordan Hudson girlfriend. I was watching the doc. It's called Get Back, and it was about the Beatles kind of at the end of their run, and they're trying to write an album. It ends up being the Let It Be album. It's an amazing album where, Across the Universe, Long and Winding Road, Let It Be, Get Back, a bunch of great songs are on it. But as they're writing, I remember watching it, and I'm just getting infuriated because Yoko Ono in the writer's circle, not like just in the studio, but it's Paul, Ringo, George, and John, all four in a circle. The Beatles are trying to write music, and man, I remember like, dude, why is Yoko freaking Ono like trying to pretend to be the fifth Beatles? She had a chair right next to John. She's like reading the newspaper. She's drinking an orange juice. She's not even helping write the song. She's just being, a presence and a nuisance and a distraction in the writing circle. And I'm losing my mind watching the doc going like, dude, this is out of pocket, man. Someone's got to say something. And I remember to this day, one of my buddies at the time who was a little bit, nicer and woker than me, tried to hit me with the, is it because she's a woman in the writer's circle? Is that what it is? You got a problem with it? I was like, no, cut the shit. We're not going there. There's nothing to do with it.
Cut the shit.
This has something to do with the fact that she's not a Beatle and nobody else's significant other is in there. That could be a man, woman, or child. I don't care who's in that chair. That's not one of the four major Beatles. They're trying to write one of the greatest albums of all times. Get your ass and go get a biscuit or something and leave them alone. That could be, to put it in perspective, if that was like Taylor Swift, Sabrina, Beyonce, and Adele sitting in a circle trying to write a song, and Travis Kelce was sitting there reading a goddamn Pro Football Weekly, I would tell him just as quickly, dude, get your ass out of there where you don't belong. And I was so proud of myself. A year later, I had found an old clip where Howard Stern was asking him this very question. And I have the audio here for you because I just, it felt so good to be vindicated. When he asked him about this specific situation, listen to Paul McCartney talking about why, one of the big riff with the Beatles and her being in the circle.
The song Get Back, when you were recording it, Yoko was in the studio.
Let's face it, we didn't welcome Yoko in the studio.
I know.
Because we thought it was a guy thing.
Yes.
I mean, even the guys' wives and the girlfriends and stuff, weren't really welcome in the studio. They could, control room for a quick visit.
Right.
But actually sit in the studio with us, it was like, no, excuse me, we're working.
Thank you. Dude, I have never, you're never supposed to feel that good about it. I told you so. When I say the swell of joy that came up in me, because, dude, I waited a while to hear that, and I was so pissed off because he was trying to be, oh, you're just mad. It's woman. No, she's not a Beatle. She didn't need to be there, but somehow, dude, she got her mitts in John, and it's a long, historically documented thing you could read all about, but I just thought about it because I'm like, God, this is eerily similar when I saw the interview, and I know y'all, if you're a Bill Belichick fan or you've been following this relationship, I know you saw the interview, right? I know you saw what happened when they asked him any sort of questions. And to remind you, this is a guy who has always, done what he wants, doesn't listen to anybody, a control freak, defiant, very, almost a dictator. He was trying to promote his book on CBS Sunday Morning, and man, did 24-year-old, 49 years younger than him, little lady Jordan, just Yoko his ass in the middle of the interview. Hit the video here for me, Mateo. This was fascinating to watch.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book. Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
Look at her eyes, man. Look at her eyes. Dude, that's Yoko. Oh, no. That's, hey, man, I want to sit in the circle. I want to do what I want. Hey, you got an interview? Cool. I'm going to be hovering right over your ass. I'm going to tell you what you can't and can't say. A 24-year-old girl is telling Bill Belichick what he can't or can't say in an interview. Dude, this is bananas. I don't even know what to... how to fathom just how much, again, the power of that pussycat boy can get you when you're an older man trying to date younger and trying to pretend you don't know what time it is.
Talking about date your age. I want to date my wage, so come on with it.
Whether it's Shannon Sharp or Bill Belichick, you guys got to come on with it and try to, I don't know, man, have some level of a spine left, because I don't think it's, a mystery to anybody not in this relationship. And, of course, hey, everyone, different love, different people, everything else, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to put 99 cents on the dollar that if Bill Belichick drove a bus or if he was an assistant vice principal at her school, I don't think that Jordan would be doing so much with a 72-year-old Bill Belichick. Again, a guy who's 12 years older than her mother. I don't think the love connection would be there. Call me crazy, call me a dick, call me whatever you want to call me. But I did think it was interesting that the specific question that she balked at was, where did you meet? Because all we know is that they met in a meetiversary post. He had signed her textbook. You can't make this up. He actually signed her textbook and had, even wrote at the bottom. You could tell he's trying to flex. He's like, Bill Belichick, Super Bowl champion this year. So he was trying to do his thing, but he signed her textbook. But, we still don't know exactly where they met, and obviously they want to keep that a secret. So I thought it was kind of, apropos the other day. I'm watching Family Feud. Hit the picture here for me, Mateo. And they asked this very question: where do you think a 73-year-old Bill Belichick actually met his 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson? Top 6 answers on the board. Number 1 was babysitting the grandkids. Number 2 was the Anna Nicole Smith book tour. Number 3 was Thailand. Number 4 was Craigslist. Number 5, maybe they met at the Free the Nipple University protest that he was next door to. Or maybe she was just a nurse at his assisted living. We don't know. We don't know exactly how they met. What we do know is that a 49-year age difference and the control that she is showing is an interesting scenario and is something that is worthy of being analyzed when, again, I try to reiterate, dude, he is 12 years older than her mom. This is not just a small age difference. This is a significant age difference. And when you see the influence that she's having on interviews, telling them, we don't want to talk about this, I'm going to hover over that, I'm going to make sure you say this and you don't say that. Dude, I don't know what exactly is going on with old Billy Boy, but what I do know is that this ain't the Bill that I'm used to, and man, I get it. She's young, she's gorgeous, but dude, I mean, again, if you were driving a bus, If you were the assistant vice principal at the school that you met her at, I don't think she would be quite as in love with you. So, they've said rumors that friends, everyone else is kind of behind the scenes going like, bruh, we don't, we're trying to be, they're saying they're trying to say it politely because nobody usually tells Bill what to say or what to do. But in this situation, they're it's feeling Yoko-ish. It's feeling very Yoko.
Oh, no.
Very Yoko Ono. Well, I got to go. You guys enjoy your week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.